Hey guys, Brickmaster here with yet another review. This time we're going to do Primal Kyogre Dusknoir deck with Kyurem Glaciate. Kind of complicated title. You got three main guys who help you slash your way to victory, or swim if you speak in Kyogre language. So today I'm just going to do a quick review of this deck. Please look out for new videos of deck reviews, and also Rage of the Red Lantern should be done pretty soon. I'm going to have a new trailer out for it and a trailer prize, so keep posted for that. Alright, and now I'm going to start the deck review. Alright, so up first we got obviously Kyogre and his Primal Fishy Brethren, Primal Kyogre. Now, obviously these cards are full art and pretty expensive, so please know that you do not have to buy the full art versions. You can buy the cheaper $6 and $8 versions. I kind of shinied out this deck because I like the way they look, so keep that in mind. So Kyogre himself is not much to look at. He's got an attack for 2 energy, one of which is a water, so you can't even use a DCE on its attack. It does 30, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. It's nice. It's an automatic asleep. It can help with those, like you need 30 and 150 attack to knock out a 180 HP, so it's nice, and it puts your opponent's active Pokemon to sleep, guarantee. Second attack does 140, return 2 water energy from this Pokemon to your hand, so it kind of slows you down rather than speeds you up, but I guess it can be helpful as like a late game finisher. Kyogre's attack is 4 energy, 3 of which are water, and 1 is a colorless, so basically you have to have 4 energy on it. Move 2 energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon, and do 30 damage to all your opponent's bench EX. So, with a Muscle Band, 170, and 30 to all the bench, setting up those other knockouts, or if you do 150 to the active and 30 to the bench, then Lysander, do 150 to the one that had 30, and 30 to the one that has 150, getting 4 prize cards in 1 attack. The only reason you can actually run this as a deck is because his ability allows you to double attach. So when you attach an energy, you can attach a second to him. So you can charge him up by like turn 3, because you obviously can't get him out turn 1. So that's him, and then you're going to run things around him to do more damage. Next up, we got your other attacker for when you just can't get Kyogre going, or you just don't want to, and it's Kyurem. Now, this is the Outrage Kyurem, not the Plasma Kyurem. You're not really focusing too much on its first attack. I guess you can use it. It does 20 plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on him. His second attack, Glaciate, does 30 to all your opponent's Pokemon. And the reason you want this attack is for if you left 150 damage on someone, you can get a bench knockout and spread a bunch of damage around. But then later when you use Dusknoir, you can take advantage of all that 30 damage you put all over the place. Let's say your opponent had 6 Pokemon out. That's 6 times 3 is 180. You move 180, you're automatically taking a knockout before you even attack. So it's a really helpful card. Then we are running 1 Keldeo. The reason we're only running 1 is because you don't really need it too much. You got high retreat costs in your EXs, 4. That's too much to pay through the nose, so we're obviously going to use the Russian Retreat ability. The only reason you only run 1 is because you're very consistent with your dive ball, so you don't really need more than 1. And then, obviously, as I said before, we got Dusknoir. His ability lets you move as many damage counters as you like from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another. So you set up those knockouts or those damage, or if someone pulls out a Mime and you don't want them blocking your bench damage, you move the damage to the Mime instead of having to Lysander it up and waste an attack. So it's really nice, especially if you're playing low HP decks like Night March or things like that. So you move this 30 damage all over the place to get all these knockouts before you even attack. And as you can see, Dusknoir is supposed to be a 3 evolution Pokemon, but there's only 2 and 2, so we're going to run Rare Candy with that. I'll get into that later. And then we're going to run 1 Suicune. Originally, I had him in here as a counter for like other Suicunes or Sigilifs, but he can actually be really nice if you put 70 damage and lock your opponent's EXs. Sometimes I can really stop them. And against a Seismitoad deck, they don't even item lock you because it prevents all effects of damage from EXs. So it's really helpful against EX decks, can slow down your opponent, and so it's just a nice card to have in there. Now onto the items. We're going to run 3 Gold Dive Ball. Now, If you watch my older video, I believe I ran 4, but 4 is kind of over the top. You don't need 4. 3 will get the job done, and for the most part, you only really need 3. If you want to run 4th, I can see why you would, but I think there's other stuff you should be running instead of 4. And then next up, one of the most key things to your deck is Professor's Letter. It grabs 2 basic energy out of your deck and puts them into your hand. And so it really helps for those double attaches. So when you need to get those double attaches onto your Kyogre, you make sure you never miss a double attachment. So it helps you make sure you have energy in your hands at all times. And then your stadium is going to be 2 Rough Seas. The reason you're running 2 Rough Seas is because you need to counteract those other stadiums like Verbank and all those other things. Any stadium, fighting stadium as well. And it really helps against those low-hitting Pokemon like Seismitoad, Execute, or any Hypnodex, because you can just heal off the damage they just did. And when you have 240 HP life, it's not very easy to knock that out, so kind of sometimes can help with those 30 healing. Then you're going to play 2 Tool Retrievers. Now, these have to be one of the most clutch cards I run in my deck. They don't seem like they would be that great, but when people play Flare Tools onto you, that's the only way to really get them off without a Zoroark. You can retrieve your Spirit Links, you can retrieve your Float Stones, you can retrieve your Muscle Bands. It's just a very clutch card. I run 2 just in case one's prized or I have to discard one early with like a Sycamore. And then next up we got, hold on one second, apparently these are a couple out of order. Next up we got Rare Candy, obviously for the Dusknoir. I run 2. Usually you're not going to get 2 Dusknoir out, but this is for consistency in case one is prized or you discarded one, just to consistently get the Rare Candy when you need it. You find you won't draw these when you don't need them too often, and when you do, you'll find that's not too bad. So 2 of those. And then we're going to run 2 Spirit Link. The only reason I'm running only 2 is because, as I said before, we're running Tool Retriever, and we only have a 3/3 line of Kyogre. And then the first Kyogre, you usually don't even need to use the Spirit Link on, because it's that early in the game that you don't really need to get an attack off on turn 2. So you can just evolve. And then you run 1 Energy Retrieval, because you'll find it's a great way to get 2 energy into your hand, because you always want to work in pairs of energy when you're playing Kyogre, because you're always double attaching, you're always moving 2, so you find you work in 2s a lot. So energy retrieval can work really well, especially when one of your Kyogres just got knocked out and you lost 2 energy into the discard pile. You need 2 energy, gets it back real quick, gets more energy in your deck. Now this is something you probably will not see. Silver Mirror, you can only attach this to a non-EX Pokemon, and it blocks all Plasma Pokemon. So basically, if this is attached to a non-EX Pokemon, no Plasma Pokemon can attack it. So the reason this is in here is because when you play Flareon or you play Virgin and all those decks that have these powerful Plasma Pokemon, they can't touch your Kyurem, let's say. And so you put a Silver Mirror on Kyurem, and all of a sudden they have like maybe 1 attacker who is not a Plasma Pokemon, and they have to like slowly kill your Kyurem, and you're spreading 30 damage all over the place. And then all of a sudden you move it to their only non-Plasma attackers, and they have nowhere to go to get around the Kyurem. Great card, very clutch. I only run 1 because you only really need 1. You never know how many times you're going to fight Plasma decks. Muscle Band, I only run 1. It seems like you should run more because you really want to get those 170 knockouts, but you find that you don't really necessarily need knockouts right away, and you can move the damage, the excess damage with Dusknoir, so you can put 150 on a bench EX and leave like 30 up front, so that way you get these double knockouts going. So it's always nice to just have one of these just in case you need that boost. Then I only run 1 VS Seeker because I find I don't really need to grab too many supporters back from the discard pile. And most of the time I don't like running VS Seeker over supporters because of toad blocks and stuff like that. So I don't like it when I have to VS Seek to get a supporter rather than just run the supporter I would want. And then I run 2 Floatstone for your Keldeo Russian Retreat, or even just your regular Kyogre or something like that, because you have a very high retreat cost. Cannot stress this enough. You probably should definitely have 2 Floatstones and a Keldeo, or at least like 2 or 3 switching cards. because your retreat cost is way too high to be just paying for that. And then lastly, computer search. This works really well. The discarding is not great for Kyogre, but to grab any card out of your deck when you're low on supporter, or you just need a card, you need a Professor's Letter, it gets the job done. So obviously that works. And then now onto the supporters. We got 3 Sycamore. You don't really need 4 because you're running a lot of other supporters that get you what you need and a lot of items that get you the cards they need. And you don't want to be discarding too much in Kyogre. So I find 3 works pretty well, and I never really feel the need for more drawing supporters. Then, I cannot stress this enough, 3 Skyla. And the reason I say 3 is because so many items that you need. You need Tool Retriever, you need Spirit Link, you need your Dive Balls, you need your Professor's Letters, you need everything. You could need a Float Stone, you could just need a Silver Mirror, a Muscle Band, a Rare Candy, a Computer Search. It can literally get you almost any of those cards, and in Kyogre, especially if you're trying to build a fast Kyogre deck, 3 gets the job done very well. Cannot stress that enough. And then 2 N, and the reason I run N is because you're a heavy EX deck, so your opponent's taking 2 prize cards. You can kind of hinder them, moving them down to only a couple. Reason I only run 2 is because sometimes in the late game they can kind of be useless cards because you're only getting 2 cards off them, or early game you don't really want to be giving your opponent a new hand. So these are very situational, so I only like to run 2 of them, and I never feel like I need an N. And then next I got 2 Colress because you play a lot of Pokemon, and most of the time so does your opponent, so it gets you a lot of good cards. Not a great early game supporter, that's why there's only 2 of them, but it's a great late game supporter. And then I run 1 Birch because instead of running the 4 Sycamore, one of the Sycamore becomes a Birch because you don't want to be discarding all the time. So you can shuffle your cards back into your deck. Flip a coin, if tails, draw 4, if heads, draw 7. If you draw 4, that's not too bad. It's 1 less than a Shauna. It's not the end of the world, but drawing 7 with shuffling cards back into your deck is amazing. And then lastly, you got 2 Lysander, which is pretty much a staple in most decks. Obviously, if you just don't have a Dusknoir out and you need to get something off the bench, or you really want to kill that one guy who just keeps getting on your nerves, this is the card for you. So you run 2 as a staple, and then via Seeker you can get a 3rd if you need to. And then I run 12 Water Energy because you don't really need any special energy, because the only special energy you would really want is DCE. But most of your Pokemon, your Kyogre only works with water, and the DCE only applies for Outrage and the Suicune's attack, so you don't really need that. So 12 water usually works, and I would like to run more energy retrieval, but usually you'll find you're not too much of an energy crisis, but hopefully you're not running any less than 12. Another idea I have for this deck is running Toad in here. I haven't found the room yet, and I haven't found out how I would exactly want to do that. But if you were going to run Toad, I would recommend running Hard Charm and Pokemon Center Lady and maybe some Potion, because you would want to play like a heal version of the deck instead of an aggressive version of the deck. Alright, I hope you liked this video. Look for new ones coming up soon, and I hope you watch other videos. Like or subscribe.